A Danish court will decide the fate of Kim Devi, main accused in the 1995 Purulia arms drop case tomorrow. In an exclusive interview to Times Now, Kim Devi looked desperate to avoid extradition.
Well, in May, the state of mind was apprehensive. Now the decision is coming out. What are you feeling? After a month or month and a half, the wait has been there. Now the verdict is coming out. State of mind. What are you feeling?
Well, it has been a long wait, and I'm still apprehensive. I'm facing the fact that they may arrest me on the spot if I lose. And the last case of extradition from Denmark, the very first case of extradition from Denmark, she was arrested in the High Court and sent to the States immediately afterwards. So even though there's a Supreme Court possibility for appeal, I could be awaiting that decision in jail. Wow. So it's pretty final somehow.
Has your lawyer advised you as to what kind of sense is he getting? What way do you think? There were 5 judges this time. What side do you think the decision is going to fall?
Well, if there's one thing you can never get a lawyer to say is which way a verdict is going to go, and likewise here, my lawyer has not given me any kind of indication. It's a big decision for the High Court. They have to go against the Justice Minister, who have already decided otherwise. So, and that is also reflected in the fact that they had used 6 weeks to make this decision. It's a historically long period. It's historical that there were 5 judges. It's historical. Normally, the longest they can take to ponder a verdict is 2 weeks, and they've used 6 here.
This is very, very, very significant. And last question, and I know that public opinion, I was told, is divided right down the middle. What kind of feeling have you been getting, from the public or the government? Are they...
The more the Danish public understands what really went on at that time, the more sympathy I have received. So in that way, there's a lot more understanding because it has been difficult for Danish people to understand. West Bengal is a long way away, and why didn't you call the police? And I mean, all kinds of questions. It's been a long way home to understand, and during this time, the public has come to understand a lot better.
Last question finally. If the verdict does go in the favor of Ministry of Justice, what can you do further? What will you do?
Well, I will try, of course, to appeal to Supreme Court, but the first extradition case in Denmark, she was not granted Supreme Court because they didn't find it principled enough to take it. So it could be the final step, if you say so.
Carsten, the verdict is coming out on the 30th. What is the feeling amongst the public about his extradition, Kim Devi's or Niels Holck's extradition to India?
I think the public is really biased. When we have polls on our website, the media I represent, the public opinion is like 50-50. 50% is saying, well, just send him away, and 50% are saying, well, we shouldn't extradite anyone for a case like this.
Case is special. How do you mean this case is special? Could you elaborate?
Well, first of all, this case is 16 years old. And second of all, Niels Holck, the main character of the case, has been saying for years that 2 ministers of justice have given him guarantees that he wouldn't be extradited for this case. So for many years, he's been living a normal life and settled down with a family and everything. And all of a sudden, the case comes up again since last year. And now he's facing extradition.
Well, just one more day to go before the verdict is announced at the Eastern High Court on what has been Denmark's biggest extradition case so far, with a panel of 5 judges. Needless to say, Kim Devi, also known as Niels Holck, is apprehensive, to say the least. If the judges do decide to extradite him to India, he could be arrested right there on the spot in the courtroom as soon as the judgment is announced. If he wants to appeal to the higher court, to the Supreme Court, then he will have to do so from behind bars. But if the judges decide in his favour, then he could well be a free man. At the moment, speculation is rife in Copenhagen as to which way the decision will go. This is Sirmit Kuman for Times Now in Copenhagen.